Hello, Colorado Realtors. I'm Scott Peterson. Thank you for joining me for another edition of Legal Bites. This, friends, is the last. It's number 8 and the final episode or occurrence of the 2022 contract series. I don't want to be so definitive about it. I mean, if somebody really begs and pleads, asks me appropriately for additional contract series, I might be willing to do that. But, for my purposes, this is all I'm planning this year to address 2022 contract changes. And this one, I'm going to address the brokerage acknowledgements or broker acknowledgements. Now, some of you probably clicked on this Legal Bites going, I'm going to tune into this one to hear Scott acknowledge the brokerage community, to acknowledge realtors and all the great things that we do in the state of Colorado. That is not the brokerage acknowledgements that I'm referring to here. What I'm talking about is, and I can't even refer to it as a paragraph number because one of the things that changed is those paragraphs are no longer sequentially numbered. It used to be we had paragraphs that went through, I think the contract went through paragraph 30 or 31, and then the broker acknowledgements were paragraphs 32 and 33 of the contract. Well, that didn't make any sense because even in the old contract, there was that great big bold heading, all caps, in a box around it saying, this is the end of the contract, right below the signatures, right? And below that was the broker acknowledgements. It always has been, but they were still sequentially numbered. And that led to a lot of brokers who thinking, this is part of the contract. Well, it's not. It never has been. Trying to delineate between the fact that the contract ended above and not sequentially numbered, they are now paragraphs A and B within the contract. So those were modified. And the big modification, a couple of other little things were done, including acknowledging the fact that you can be in Colorado a transaction broker for just one party as opposed to being a transaction broker for both parties. That changed in how things are described. So you could be a TB and still treat somebody else as a customer on the other side, or only be a TB for one party or the other as opposed to both, which the former broker acknowledgements didn't fully give you the checkbox options to do. But what I want to talk to you about is this little piece right here. No broker compensation. This sentence was added this year, and I'm really happy it was. And I wasn't even going to address it, but yet still through the legal hotline a couple of times, at least this year, I've had people still calling me to say, well, can't I just check the box saying buyer broker is representing buyer as an agent and will be paid a commission by the listing brokerage firm, and check that box, and doesn't that obligate them to pay me a commission, right? So no, it does not. It never has, but this sentence was added to try and emphasize that, and I think people still aren't reading through the whole thing at this point because it's clear as mud in the broker acknowledgements now. This broker acknowledgement and compensation disclosure is for disclosure purposes only and does not create any claim for compensation. Any compensation agreement between the brokerage firms must be entered to separately and apart from this provision. Meaning, you as in most cases, going to be buyer's agent or TB, checking the box that the listing brokerage firm is paying your compensation does not obligate the listing brokerage firm to pay your compensation. It only discloses to the parties for the purposes of the contract being compliant with state law who the brokers are and who's paying who. But it doesn't create any actual obligation to do that. So please don't rely on that. In most cases, you all are able to rely on your mutual participation within the MLS and the offer of compensation that flows through your participation in the MLS. But if for some reason you are not participating in the same MLS that you are bringing a buyer to, you need to secure your compensation separately, not through the broker acknowledgement section of the contract. Anything you try and do there is not going to be effective. It's not going to be enforceable. That's not the purposes of that section. So I want to emphasize that new sentence that appears there since January 1st of this year and remind you guys to not anticipate that just checking boxes in that section is going to allow you to get paid. I'll also, while I'm talking about this, quickly remind you of something that changed about a year and a half ago, I think now, in terms of Division of Real Estate license law, or probably more appropriately commission rule, I think it is that you cannot change status by simply checking the change, this is a change of status box in the broker acknowledgements. That does not in and of itself accomplish that change of status. You also have to provide the change of status form now to your client. You used to be able to just check that box. Now you've got to check the box and provide that form. So that wasn't even part of the topic I intended, but I'm giving you free information at the very end for those of you who hung in to the very end. And I will give a broker acknowledgement to the Realtors of Colorado who have done an amazing job over the last couple of years in really difficult market circumstances, really tight inventory. You guys grinding it out as listing brokers, reviewing multiple offers with your sellers, and you guys grinding it out as buyers brokers, writing multiple offers with your buyers and keeping them in check and helping set their expectations. You guys have been a phenomenal driver of our Colorado economy for the last few years in really difficult circumstances. So there's your really sneaky broker acknowledgement at the very, very end that maybe you checked on to listen to, and if you hung in to this moment, you've received it. Thanks, guys. It's great seeing everybody. As always, if you've got questions, check out the Car Legal Hotline. It's available 9 to 12 and 1 to 4, Monday through Friday, and we always love to hear from you there. We'll see you next time on another edition of Legal Bites.